Welcome to the Roy Rundown, a podcast designed to share insights and secrets from top experts in the college sports landscape, guiding you along your own path to success. Join us in real time as we build Roy, dive into the latest NIL trends, and uncover stories from the movers and shakers in the sports business space. You'll hear from an all-star lineup of guests, including athletes, coaches, agents, fans, athletic administrators, and more. Whether you're a student athlete, passionate fan, or anyone in between, this is your go-to resource for leveling up in the new age of college sports.
Welcome to another episode of the Roy Rundown. I am your host, Brandon Brown, Sports Insider here at Roy, and I'm super excited to be joined today by Aaron Burrell. You can see Aaron sitting right here. He is a freshman, I guess, rising sophomore, right? Soon to be sophomore kicker at LSU. And he's got an incredible story. I've learned a little bit about him as we've kind of gotten ready for this, just kind of his background, what he's been through, how he got to where he's at right now. And the future is already bright for this kid. We were talking about it. He's only 19 years old, and he's doing better than I am already with his money planning and getting ready for the future. And I think that's incredible. I wish somebody had taught me some of those things. So first of all, Aaron, thanks so much for being here, man. And looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better.
No problem.
Well, let's get into the background, because I think it is interesting. You're obviously at one of the premier college football programs in the country kicking, but that's not where it started for you. Football was kind of an afterthought. And you hear about this sometimes, especially with kickers. It was soccer. It was soccer for you from a very, very young age. So tell everybody out there about, your background as a soccer player, kind of where it started and kind of where that took you before you transitioned over to football.
Well, soccer-wise, I started playing soccer when I was around 4 years old. My parents always thought I was going to be a soccer player because I used to always kick in my mom's stomach. So grew up, we started locally. I was doing a lot of one-on-ones with somebody, and over time, I got really, really good. And so we wanted to see how far that took me. And from where I am, soccer really wasn't a whole lot, because I'm from Shreveport. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. So we didn't really have a lot of soccer out there, but it was still enough just to have a small opportunity. So we ended up playing for another team, and I was in East Texas, like Longview, Texas area. And it was a good run. I had a good run with them for, I think, about a year or two. And then we ended up coming to my sixth grade year. So first year of middle school, we ended up moving to Texas and playing for a huge club out there. And they had their academy team. So I ended up making one of those teams, and we had to move, obviously. But it was tough. And my sister, she was a senior in high school at the time. So it was like, okay, I'm here, she's here, and the family's just split apart. So we decided just to move back and find our opportunities. And I think from that, we really had a lot just out of Shreveport. I mean, I had the opportunity to go play for a lot of other clubs. I mean, it's an MLS academy. So like there's a lot of different clubs. So I had the opportunity to go play with Houston Dynamo. Who else? I had a chance to go play with Solar, Atlanta FC, just different clubs. I had the opportunity to go play with them. And when I was in third grade, I got chose to play overseas in Spain with a small USA team just to represent the USA. And that team was made up of kids all around the country. And we ended up going out there. I mean, just seeing a whole nother side of the country. It's like it's crazy. Like just to see how cultures are different based off how we're used to in the US. It's very, very different in Spain. And I think going out there, we played like either 5 or 6 games. We ended up playing teams from like Brazil and Spain and all these other countries, and it was like you just see how the connections are different from how they do it and how we do it. It's a lot different just everywhere around the world. So I mean, went up there. I played further up the field, so I was typically the one that scored the goals, and I think I had the most goals scored in the tournament, and then, well, we still ended up not really qualifying for anything. I think we came like 4th. I'm pretty sure it was 4th.
So a third grader running around over in Spain playing soccer. Obviously, soccer was pretty much everything. And then football, when? You said 6th grade, you were still doing the soccer thing. You had some moves and stuff like that. So when did football finally become part of the picture for you?
I started getting into it my 8th grade year. I got a call from my coach. He was just calling me just to see if I wanted to try it, to see how I would do. And I think just the moment I even started kicking the football, I knew it was something that I possibly could do in the future. And played that season. 9th grade was my 9th grade year. Played that season, and then I really didn't start kicking for real until like my early junior year, I would say. And I knew it was real. My first offer I had from Grambling State University, and it was on the spot. He was out there, I was out there, and he threw it on the spot. So I was like, okay. And after that happened, I really thought like I could really do this. And I think every camp I went to, I ended up getting an offer for them. And LSU was different. I've been in contact with LSU for like, I would say about 1.5 years, 2 years. Like I've been in contact with them since the beginning of my junior year. And you go through a lot of adversity, so you just really had to overcome it and just look on the good side of it. So.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that adversity. Unfortunately, you have dealt with some injuries in your career. I want to, just give a little bit of a reflection and a look back on what those injuries were, when they happened, and kind of what your thought process was, dealing with that. Because I know as a high level athlete, and you were high level as a soccer player. You talked about earlier you had looked at the options of maybe playing overseas, or maybe that's a direction for me. I don't really want to do that. And then football comes along, and now you're one of the highest ranked kickers in the country too. So you had some options, and then an injury kind of puts a stop to all that for a little while. So what was that like? What were the injuries? How did it happen? And what was it like going through that as a young athlete?
I think for me, I've never been seriously hurt before any of those injuries, so I really didn't know what to expect. Like obviously as a kid, you'll get bruised up all the time, and your parents will tell you just go put some ice on it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the type of injury. But I mean, I was planning on moving here or moving on campus early, and I think for my first injury, it kind of stopped that a little bit, and I had an MPFL reconstruction, so I had dislocated my kneecap, and they had to go in, they had to get it back right and fix it. And I think just from taking that time off, it made me realize who I was and why I'm really doing this. And I think just knowing my goal at the end of the day, it just made me push harder and harder just to get back out on the field. And I had that opportunity because I got hurt. It was the Thursday before our first round playoff game. That's when I got hurt. So we still ended up going to the game. Our team lost, but I mean I was there to support, so I wasn't really a whole lot bummed out.
Was this junior year or senior year of high school?
This is my junior year.
Junior year. Okay. So just figuring out the timeline a little bit there.
Yeah, and then worked all the way in the off season just to get back healthy and started kicking again. I ended up playing my senior year. It was tough at first. They really had to manage on what I did, so I was kicking field goals, and I didn't really start getting a groove on kickoffs until like probably week 4, week 5 into the season. So it took a little bit. And then finished the whole season out, and then I just worked my tail out just to come up here and show them what I could do. And I ended up getting hurt again. I think it was February. I ended up fracturing my kneecap, the same kneecap. It was they said it was due to a stress fracture because one of the screws they had put it broke. So it was kind of back to square one, really. So I really didn't know what to do now. I mean, I knew I still had an opportunity to go play at a prestigious university. I still had an opportunity for all that, but I knew what it would take just for me to even be able to do stuff like that. So I think just going through adversity in general, like it's a lot. Like there's a lot of bumps in the road, and I think you just got to know why you're here, and know your purpose, and know why you want to keep pushing to go do what you want to do again. So,
what were you able to do in terms of trying to get ready to get to LSU? I mean, when you've got knee surgery, you're not kicking, obviously. So what other things are you doing? Like, how hard was the rehab? Like, how were you preparing yourself for that high of a level going to a place like LSU without really being able to perform your craft?
Well, the lucky part about it, my surgeon, the one who did it, he's actually the team doctor for LSU. So I already got a connection with him just based off him doing my surgery. But I mean, I really wasn't able to do a whole bunch before I even left. I was able to get out of brace probably about 2 weeks before I even moved down here. So it was still a lot to do. Even getting here, I remember from how our schedule was, like all the enrollees, we had to lift in the mornings, and we had a different lift schedule than all the regular players that have been here. And so I remember we used to get up I think 7 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday, just to be in the training room. Like that's what I had to do. So
yeah, that's crazy, man. And then you mentioned to me earlier, you didn't really know what your freshman season was going to look like at LSU because you were coming off the 2 injuries and the one that was right up against your arrival pretty much. But then I don't know how big of a surprise it was to you get to play. So what was that like getting to LSU and really not knowing, but then I would assume having it go, I mean, that's pretty special. Having it go pretty well to where you're out there as a true freshman.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. This season, everybody even thought I was just gonna have to redshirt this season because I knew based off how serious it was and how bad it was that there was a possibility that I wasn't gonna play. And I mean, I accepted it. Like I didn't think at all I was going to be able to just go out there week 1 and play. So I mean that conversation, obviously talking to the trainers and talking to Coach Kelly about that. I mean it was a surprise to me. It really shocked me just to see everything just happen that quick.
Pretty special, man. Was that way ahead of schedule? I mean, what were they telling you when you were going to be back to 100% cleared to play? Like you already said, I mean, you didn't think you were going to play just because might as well redshirt and just chalk it up and get ready for year 2. But when did you think you were physically able to play? I mean, did you feel like it was happening faster than it was supposed to?
I mean, I had the thought of while we were speeding the rehab up, stuff was coming together and I felt better than usual, but it was just the kicking part. I didn't start kicking the football probably until 2 weeks to a week and a half that we even started the season really. So it was I at that point I really knew that it was going to be later in the season that I would have played. So
gotcha. That's special, man. That's a special recovery right there and got you on the field early, and now you're kind of primed up for year 2. I want to talk about this because I think it's interesting. You wear number 32. You are 6'3", 195. Look like maybe a shooting guard on the basketball team or maybe a linebacker. I don't know. I don't know what people think you might play sometimes, but you don't look like the typical kicker with your size and athleticism and things like that. And I'm guessing you probably have heard that much of your life. Like what has that been like, with your soccer background and then becoming a kicker? Because they're usually not put together like you are.
I think really for me, just just based off my appearance, like a lot of people stereotype me and think I play safety or receiver, and I mean that's 100% normal. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't think that. But nah, I think me just really being able to do everything with my feet just helps me in the long run, because like kicking, obviously you use your feet, and a lot of kickers have soccer backgrounds, but a lot of them don't. Like our starting kicker right now, our place kicker, he never played soccer growing up. Like, so he's been off football, so he really had to learn all that on his own, really. And I think just me just having a natural ability just to be good with my feet, I think that really helps me on the long run.
What is that like? You mentioned the stereotype of, people think you're a receiver or a DB or whatever. Does that bother you? 'Cause here's the deal. Kickers are usually kind of like these small little dudes. People like, oh, they're not even athletic. All they can do is kick a ball. Whereas like that, they see you and they think like you're probably a skill player, probably out there making plays, but then you are a kicker. Like, have you had discussions about that before? Is it something you think about in your own head? Like, it's not normal, I guess you could say.
Nah, it's not. I mean, it's not annoying. I actually think it's kind of funny.
That's what I wondered, actually.
Just to have people think like that. Like, sometimes me and my roommates will end up going to the store and people ask us, "Oh, do we play football and this and that?" And then they try to guess our positions, and nobody said kicker.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just pretty funny to me. But I think just the fun part about it is just when people see me kick and they realize that like I actually got a leg and I actually can do something that a lot of people in my color don't really do.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Is that, I think your dad has talked about this before too. Is that something you kind of embrace? I mean, you mentioned, there's not a lot of African-American kickers out there. And a lot of times it is like the little white dude, like that's the kicker. That's just how it goes. Like you said, you kind of think it's funny and nobody ever guesses it right. Like, I just wonder, like, what that makes you think. And if it makes you like carry kind of a sense of pride that you are different and you are kind of a rare breed in some ways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of take it all in, and I try to really put on for my home city and just inspiring kids of color just to do something that you might not ever think you was gonna do. I never thought I was gonna kick a football.
Sure.
And just to really do that and work at it and play at the next level, I think just in my city in general, I inspired a lot of kids just to come out and just want to start kicking. Eventually I started a small organization to where I would teach kids how to kick one-on-one, and I think that really blew off. And that was after my first injury, and I was starting to get back into things. So I mean, it really just helped me understand why I did this and how many kids really look up to me, and just really knowing my why.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's an incredible story, man. And it gets even better here. I think we're going to talk about NIL a little bit. Obviously, here at Roy, we are an NIL platform, and excited about the future and working with guys like you. And we're really happy to have you in the fold. But I think it's truly unique how you handle your NIL money. I think it's something that a lot of college athletes probably aren't doing the right way. And I just wonder if you could speak to that. Like, from what I understand, you don't really do much with your NIL money. You kind of you put it in other places, and I'm going to let you explain it so that way I get it right, first of all. But where does the financial education come from? Like, why is that your approach? I mean, you just hear so much about not even college players, but young professionals blowing through their money, and 5 years down the line they don't have it. That's clearly not going to be the case with you, and I'd love for you to explain and tell everybody why that is.
Well, growing up, obviously, my dad, he's a huge finance dude, so I mean, he really controls all that. But really, we came up with a system that just basically it would help me on the long run. And I mean, you see a lot of college athletes, they'll get NIL money or they'll get paid these big amounts, and I mean they'll just waste it in a year or two. So I think we came up and a lot of people do know about this. Some of the stuff that I do, like savings accounts, and obviously you got investments and investments in just many different things. And I think that was one thing my dad set me up real good with. Obviously, I'll get paid. I obviously I'm on scholarship, so I get paid here, and just being able to just break up the money you receive, and then you also got to think you got to for the money you do get from certain places, you got to pay taxes on it. So I mean, just putting money away on the side for taxes, and then you put money away in your savings accounts, and I mean you're investing in stuff, and I mean just doing that over time, I mean it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
So I mean I think that really helped me in the long run, just in general.
Absolutely. That's, as I said before we got started, I wish I knew some of those things when I was 19, because that's an incredible lesson moving forward. And if you could, we're super happy to have you with us here at Roy. If you could just talk a little bit about what about the Roy platform and kind of what drew you into it, and just what you enjoy about it so far, as we're kind of getting going here, a pretty relatively new company and startup. So what do you know and like about Roy so far as you've gotten into it with us?
What I like that y'all are able to bring in athletes and really just talk about their story and how they came about the sport they play or what brought them into it. And I think that does a lot. Not just give them recognition, but just to allow other people to hear their story and support them individually. Like I think my former teammate Caden, he really, just for me watching the video and learning about it, he really got me into it, just to see that you get individually supported by other people, and you're not just sending money to a program thinking just one player finna get it. Nah, you get digitally just tap whoever you want to donate to and support them.
Yeah, shout out to LSU running back Caden Durham was with us earlier, and that's great. That's another part of it too. I mean, have any of your other teammates asked you anything about it? I mean, you've obviously got a pretty good head on your shoulders when it comes to money. Shout out to your dad again for kind of putting those foundations in place. But what's your conversation been like with Caden, or maybe with other teammates, about Roy and kind of what it could do for you guys?
I mean, we've talked time to time about it. I've talked to Caden about it a little bit. And I mean, just it's not just us, but other people. We're trying to put on a platform that athletes could feel like they could come here one day and join and tell their story, because everybody's story is different at the end of the day. So I think just with us talking to each other, we're just trying to figure out ways to involve more athletes and get their story out.
Very cool. Well, there you have it, folks. He is Aaron Burrell. He's got a bright future ahead of himself. I'm excited to see what you do, man, because I didn't know your story. I mean, I had heard of you. I watch football all the time, so I knew a little bit about you, but I did not know about the soccer background and the injuries and just kind of where you. So I can really get on board with the whole idea of just what you just said, just getting people's stories out there, man, because everybody's got one and everybody's is a little different. So, Aaron, I really appreciate the time, man. Good luck. I hope you stay healthy. I hope you are booming them out of the end zone and kicking long field goals there in Tiger Stadium. And, yeah, man, really appreciate the time and hope everything goes well for you in the future.
I got you. Thank you.
All right.